buy you some time. Just keep going.
You know, Shang-Chi is an older Marvel character. How did you want to reinvent him for the big screen?
We wanted to make Shang-Chi and the world that Shang-Chi operates in as relevant to today's society as possible. We wanted Shang-Chi to feel like our friends, would feel like people that we know in our communities, and be a character whose journey you can really relate to, regardless of your cultural background. I think people will be very surprised by how much they can find themselves in each of the characters in our movie.
Most definitely. What was the most liberating thing about setting the story post-Blip, post-Avengers Endgame?
Our movie is really at its core about characters who are learning how to deal with the pain of their past, who are learning how to redefine some hard things that they've been through, and redefine themselves in ways that they can move forward with strength and power. And having that movie set post Blip, post global tragedy, I think was one of the ways that felt right for the theme that we're trying to explore in this movie anyway. But it also is just exciting to be a part of a moment in the MCU when we are really moving forward to some new challenges and a new phase of new problems for our new heroes to solve.
Destin, the action in this movie is off the charts. I think fans are going to be blown away by several different sequences in this film. If you could talk a little bit about how you approach the action and how you approach some of those big monumental scenes in the film.
I could not be more proud of the action sequences in this movie. I think that it's kind of strange and special to be able to use adjectives to describe an action sequence like beautiful and moving and emotional, funny, hilarious. And all of those things were really brilliantly captured and choreographed by Brad Allen and his incredible team. Brad comes from the stunt team of Jackie Chan and brings so much respect and knowledge of the martial arts, rich history of martial arts films, and really wanted to pay homage to all the great films of the past in our movie. And I can't wait for people to see what they did.
Were there any specific influences for some of those scenes?
There's a lot of influences pulled from, from physical gags straight from the pockets of Buster Keaton, and classic Jackie Chan movies, and to movies like Jet Li's Tai Chi Master, Ip Man series, Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, and one of my favorites, Kung Fu Hustle. There's the number of martial arts and kung fu movies that we watch to be inspired by this movie are plentiful, and it was a really fun research process to get into this movie.
Destin, I imagine the search for your title character must have been far and wide. We know Simu here in Toronto from Kim's Convenience up in Canada. But why was he the perfect choice to play Shang-Chi?
The casting process is it's always very strange to me. When you start looking for the person to play a character, it always just feels impossible. And we saw so many amazing actors for this role, and it's strange when an actor regardless of how great they are, if they're not lining up with that character, it just doesn't work. And it wasn't until the one shows up and Simu was the one, and it just clicked, and it felt right for Shang-Chi. There is something really special about Simu. He has a relatability to him, that I think is really difficult to find in performers. He also has this amazing ability to show strength and power, and also vulnerability, both of which we really needed to portray in this character. And he's also really funny and super fun. So I think people will be very impressed with him in this movie.
Most definitely. Tony Leung's Wenwu is a villain. He's a villain like we haven't seen before in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. So layered, so rich. But I feel like I've said this 7 times throughout the year with all the other Marvel villains. But how did you want to set Tony apart from any other villain we've seen before in the MCU?
Well, we knew that this character was carrying a lot of baggage from previous renditions of Shang-Chi's father, and we knew one of the most important challenges we had was to make this character a real multifaceted human being. And even though he is the villain of our movie, I think people will be extremely surprised by how much they can relate to him. They may not agree with the things that he does, but I think it's very clear where that pain comes from. And there is something that I don't know, Tony Leung just brings so much humanity to his characters, no matter what he's playing, and he really played Wenwu with so much care. Yes, intensity, yes, brutality, but beneath all of that is an underlying love that is misguided, sometimes warped, but there is a rooted love behind everything that this character does.
Destin, how does Shang-Chi set the table for what's next? Originally, this film was supposed to come out after Eternals. How does it switch things up now?
This movie opens the doors to a lot of avenues moving forward in the MCU, and for the characters that I'm sure people will fall in love with in our movie. I think it's pretty clear the general directions that we are headed by the end of the movie, the questions that are posed, and it's really exciting to know that all of these characters have a very, very exciting future in the MCU.
So you just mentioned exciting future. Are you viewing this as a trilogy of sorts? Did you sort of imagine this in your mind as something bigger than just the one film?
Yes, I mean, I feel like in order to operate in the MCU, I think you're always encouraged to imagine it much bigger than the single movie that you're doing, and that's kind of the joy of working within this universe, is that nothing really is meant to end, and so leaving us all, those involved with the movie and the audience, leaving us all with open-ended avenues to continue to create is one of the joys of working with Marvel Studios.